Hi, welcome back to the channel. I'm Michelle, and today I'm going to be sharing my mid-year homeschool update. It's hard to believe we are halfway through our school year, but we started early August, so January puts us in our halfway point, and my kids have actually finished up some things and moved on to different things, so I will update with that. As all my update videos go, I will split them into 3 videos. So this first video will be all about my 6-year-old or my 1st grader. Second video will be my 10-year-old 4th grader. And then the last video will be our group subjects. I do that way I can cover everything I want to with each separate group. So let's start with my 6-year-old, who is mostly doing 1st grade work this year. So we will start with her handwriting. She continues to do core knowledge skills kindergarten handwriting. Again, core knowledge is a free downloadable curriculum you can use. I just print out the skills level workbooks and she works on that. A lot of it is handwriting, as you can see, practice. Some of it is more phonics, kind of like explode the code type practice. So I do like that it incorporates both, so she's both reading and writing at the same time. So she'll do just a page of this a day. And like I said, she does core knowledge listening and learning strand for 1st grade, but she's doing the skill level for kindergarten. And with core knowledge, there's 2 separate areas. There's listening and learning, which is the stories, reading comprehension, vocabulary work, and then there is the skills section that is more handwriting and phonics review. She does a separate phonics program, so she doesn't need this, but it's a quick, nice review, so I will just keep track of which pages she's done and print more as we need. I believe we are on the Unit 5 skills right now as of this filming, so again, halfway through the year. Math, she finished up Dimensions, Singapore Dimensions KB and has moved into 1A, and I think it's gone really well. I know a lot of people say there's a big jump when they experience 1 from KB to 1, but I haven't really noticed that. The beginning of it was a lot of review, so that was easy for her. There is a little bit more work, I would say, with this. I would say KB was probably 1 page. Most of these are 2, sometimes 3 pages long. But as far as stamina, that's not an issue for her. She's fully capable of doing it. So we do the workbook, the textbook, and I do it the same as I did KB. One day is a lesson in the textbook. The next day we do the workbook. And then when she finishes the chapter, she will do the test. And I just read the questions for her and she answers it independently. So as you can see here, she did this the beginning of December and she didn't miss any. So she's really understanding the concept. What I really like about Dimensions is it's coming from multiple angles. So it's asking similar questions, but from different points of view, which I really like because, as we know, we can see math in many different ways. There's more than one way to get to the answer. I do like that she was also challenged for the first time in math. Usually in math, she gets concepts very quickly. I find that we were doing a number bond and she was doing specifically 7, and she prefers to do a lot of mental math, but this was a situation where she wasn't really familiar with 7s mentally, like how to add up to 7 in her head, so we had to get out a 10 frame and work from there. But she was frustrated for the first time with math, really, and it was a good learning opportunity for her to realize that frustration can happen with learning, and that doesn't mean it's too hard or you're a failure, but it's an opportunity to learn. So it opens some really good conversation about how our brain works, how mistakes actually grow our brains, that growth mindset. So that was really nice to introduce, but so far it's going really well. She finished up All About Reading Level 1. I feel like it took us about 1.5 years, which is completely fine. And it's very interesting because my oldest, my 10-year-old, moved at a much quicker pace with this. But what I like about All About Reading is, even though both my kids are very different, they have very different strengths and very different learning styles, this curriculum worked for both of them. Now, did I have to tweak it more with my 6-year-old? Yes, like she needs to physically move more. So the practice sheets, we got creative with that, and we wrote it on a whiteboard that she can move around with and walk around with. And that worked fantastically for her. And I'm happy with where she is now. I think part of the issue with reading is just me realizing that my oldest would have a different speed because I taught my oldest how to read using this curriculum, and she was more than fluently reading by the end of this. I'm not even sure we completed the full level 1 of this before my oldest was fluently reading. So, is my youngest fluently reading, I would say? No, but that's completely fine. She's moving at a different pace. Her progress, she's improving more and more. She's being challenged, and that's what's important. And we will move on to level 2. We actually have level 2. A friend was nice enough to let us use her copy of it, so we don't have to go buy it. So I'm excited to start level 2 and just work on some of that stamina for her. She gets tired easily when reading, and I think has to do some with her neurodiversity in her brain. But we're working through it, and it's working really well so far. So I look forward to seeing how level 2 works for us, because it'll be my first time actually teaching level 2. As I said, my oldest never really learned before we finished level 1, so we never moved on to level 2. So the other thing that she's doing core knowledge, language arts, grade 1, and we do the listening and learning strand. And what I do for that is I just load the teacher guide onto my Samsung tablet, and then the student reader is loaded onto their Amazon Fire tablet. So she looks at that while I read the teacher guide here. But so far the categories we've covered is fables and stories, human body. We did an entire human body unit this summer into fall, and it was awesome. Different lands and similar stories, so we did like different versions of Cinderella around the world, Little Red Riding Hood, so it was the same story but told from different cultures' perspectives, which was really nice. We did early world civilizations, so think things like Aztec, Mayan civilization, ancient Egypt, things like that, early American civilizations, and we are currently on astronomy, so we are on domain 6, so we are halfway done. And I have to say, I've been very impressed with core knowledge. And again, you can check out my day in the life where I kind of show how we go through core knowledge in our homeschool with her. But I've been really impressed. It's one of those curriculums I wish I had found much earlier on, because I think it would have made things so much easier for me than having to finally switch and find the thing that works. It's well researched, it's well written. Is it a bit drier? Yeah, but that's completely fine. I have a whole video on here about how, homeschooling curriculum doesn't have to be entertainment. It's fine the way it is. It's a tool, not the main part of your homeschool. So I think it's gone really well. She's learned a lot. One of the things I really appreciated when we talk about, I believe it was early world civilizations, we did a whole unit on world religions, which I really appreciate all the different perspectives. Okay, here we go. So this is one of the worksheets we filled out. Of course, we did it verbally because this would be a lot for her to write, but we did Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. So we looked at the number of gods, the main shrines or things they worship, the key figures in that religion, what are the followers called, so Christianity to be Christians, that kind of thing, their symbol of faith, the buildings they worship in, what their worship leaders are called, the holy book that they follow, important holidays, and interesting facts about that religion. So I really like, and this is one of the reasons I choose curriculum from a secular point of view, is that there was no advantage given to one of these specific religions. This one wasn't better than that. They were each individually told or talked about from a non-biased perspective, which I really appreciate. And she learned a lot about that because obviously, we are Christians and practicing. We are specifically Lutheran, ELCA, if you're curious. But learning about other cultures, I think, is really important. I like that core knowledge introduces it at such a young age. I know a lot of people think like social studies, or there are certain topics that can't be approached at younger ages. But what core knowledge does is it approaches these topics and builds upon them each year. So will they know everything there is to know about, the Mayan civilization? No, but that's what the following years are for. They'll learn a little bit more each year until they have a very well-rounded understanding of it. And that's what I really, really do enjoy. So like I said, I do the printouts. So most of it we do like just oral. I'll ask her questions and things like that. There are printouts where like these are sequence cards, so what happened in the series of events. There's Venn diagrams, so especially when we were talking about folk tales around the world, it looked at, you know, how are these stories from China and France similar, things like that. What key elements did they have? There are opportunities for assessment. So again, this is the answer key, not the workbook. I don't think I have the answer key anymore. I file her stuff away in a portfolio once she's done, but you know, was this the Mayan, the Aztec, or the Incan civilization? And we'll go through the questions, and she does comprehend a lot of it. Does she comprehend every single fact or figure? No. That's not the point. The point is the exposure, the introduction to it. So it's gone really well. We are currently on astronomy, which is really nice because that's one topic I feel like space we haven't really covered much of. So she's really enjoying this. So again, this is a printout from Core Knowledge. So she keeps a little journal. You can see this was right before Christmas. We're learning about the sky and the atmosphere. So she's going to next week draw this night sky and label the different things like what's in the atmosphere and what is actually in space that we're seeing. So Core Knowledge is going well. We will continue with that. And then as far as individual things she's doing, we're not currently doing any outside classes or groups besides, you know, our homeschool group. She did swimming in the past, she did gymnastics in the past, but for the fall or for the winter season, we're currently not doing anything. We do the story time at the library every week on a Monday, so she gets together with other kids around her age and younger, and they do crafts and different activities and like that. And I think that's more than enough for her. She does, you know, participate fully in our homeschool co-op, participate fully in our group subjects, which I'll talk about later in the video, but she joins us for science. We do 4th grade science with my oldest daughter. She joins us for this. And does she get every concept? No. But again, it's that exposure. I think in most, if she was in public school, she'd be in kindergarten right now. And that there's very little science at all, or social studies, or history at all. So I'm not overly concerned with her having her own individual unit at this time. My kids are 3.5, almost 4 years apart. So I know there will be a time when we kind of have to separate that and maybe not do so much group work when it comes to things like science and history. But for now, it's working fine. She's getting exposure. She, you know, with our experiments or demonstrations, she participates and she's gaining knowledge through that participation, and that's enough. As far as how she's doing, I think she's doing really well. I've seen a lot of growth with her. Like I said, I see her stamina building with schoolwork, with her neurodiversity. It's harder for her to focus sometimes, and I've noticed that her ability to focus is much different than when my oldest was at this age. So working around that and giving her frequent breaks, brain breaks, things like that, really helps. But she's really, really doing well. I'm very proud of the work she's done so far, and we've had to make no adjustments to this school year so far, which I'm really happy with, not having to constantly. And have I been tempted to try new things? Absolutely. But here's the thing. When it's working, we stick with it. Same thing with like dimensions, it's working. All about reading, there are other avenues I've thought about going since I've never, you know, done level 2. Would this be a good time to break away and try something new? Here's the thing, it's working, so we're gonna keep with it. So that is the update for my 6-year-old, my 1st grader. If you have any questions, leave them down below. If not, thank you for watching.